So my story would have started about 2 years before Nigel was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So prior to him being diagnosed, things were strained in our relationship. And I thought it was me. In moments I thought it was him. And then when I decided it was really him and not me, and that maybe we should be going different ways, I realised it was something else. So it was the Alzheimer's. And when that came up and we went to the doctor and got diagnosed, that completely changed my last 2 years, because the penny dropped and finally the things that had been going wrong started to make sense. In hindsight, he would have had Alzheimer's for 10 years before he was diagnosed, I would think. And that presented itself in his inability to create futures with me. We would, sit there and try and talk about what we wanted to do and what our aspirations and dreams and what we wanted to create for the family, and it would be like talking to a wall. And then one day he repeated himself with a friend who had come to stay from Ireland. So the question was about a TV program, and he repeated himself word for word. And the major thing that I was surprised at is the person who he repeated himself with the questions. She didn't blink an eye or didn't realise there was anything wrong. It doesn't look like it's anything at all. So most people, even now, and Nigel is, he's pretty disabled now, would not notice it. Most people wouldn't notice it because he can still talk and hold a conversation. He can't cut his food up, he can't dress himself easily, he can't remember where you are, so that if we go shopping, he can't follow me. He made mistakes at work, and he had staff that were really concerned about whether or not he liked them. So I was having conversations with people as an aside, and they would be saying, I'm pretty sure Nigel doesn't like me anymore, which is weird. So I had to explain to them that he had the diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment at that stage. So by the time he got a full diagnosis, he more or less had to stop work. Most people understand Alzheimer's as something to do with the memory, the short-term memory. What no one seems to get is his executive functioning is gone. So his ability to hold lots of different ideas and then formulate conversations, ideas, anything it's like it's got holes in it. So he can't hold any of those things. So you don't have any of those deep and meaningful conversations. So someone who was a heavyweight turns into a lightweight before your very eyes. He was never a great driver. He was never a great driver before Alzheimer's, and after Alzheimer's he was an even worse driver. And he came in one day and he sat down and he says, I don't think I'll be driving anymore. And I said, what happened? And he goes, I might have driven down the wrong way of a two-way street, like a really big two-way street. And I said, so what did you do? He says, I turned down the side street. I said, well, that would have been all right. He goes, no, it was a one-way side street and I was going the wrong way. I said, well, how did you know that? And he goes, well, there was a car coming at me. And I said, well, what did you do? He says, I just pulled over and ducked. The other day I was really, really annoyed because I'd sent Nigel to tip the rubbish out, and I'd given him the car keys to get back into the apartment, because you need a swipe to get back up the lift, and he chucked the rubbish and the keys into the rubbish bin, which is a big bin. So I had to climb into the bin, find my rubbish, find my car keys, and come back out. So I wasn't in a good mood when people came in the lift and said, hi, Tania. I was having a little tanty of my own, and they just left me and said goodbye. Someone once said to me, it's quite good to have an anchor for them, and That's because one day he's going to wake up and he's going to not even know where he is. He's not even going to recognise anything in his bedroom, even if it is his bedroom. So they suggested that there was something that he had a real kind of association or familiarness with, and that's been the colour orange. So we have tagged the important things in his world orange. So his glasses are orange, his phone is orange, a lot of his shirts, a lot of the colours around here are orange to make him feel secure and anchored. So apart from me, that he'll have some other things that he will be anchored to. And that's been really good advice. There's quite a few places for support for people with Alzheimer's. There's Alzheimer's New Zealand who have a broad blanket of resources and information online. And then there are the individual communities around New Zealand that have the resources and care coordinators and people that you can speak to. And so there's a Wellington Alzheimer's, and if you give them a call, they'll come and visit. They're fantastic. They'll talk to you about all the things you need to do. If you want to talk to people, they can arrange. They've got little support groups that you can go to. One of the things that Nigel and I have always been really probably more confronted with than other people is the impact that Alzheimer's has on our lives because it's happened so early. And one of the things we want people to be doing is having more conversations about Alzheimer's and the impact it's going to have for our communities, for our children. There's a massive body of people that are going to have Alzheimer's. So we want to tell our stories so that people can have more conversations.